to Delhi. The local time is approximately 8:13 p.m.
They arrived at night. They were a team of 14 volunteers in mission sent by the Mussoorie Conference to serve for 2 weeks in India. Their mission destination was the city of Mussoorie, nestled high in the Himalayan mountains of North India. But first there were sights to see in the capital city of New Delhi, where their American Airlines flight had set them down. That first afternoon they toured the Qutub Minar complex, built in the 1200s, which was an amazing engineering feat in those days. They also visited the place where Gandhi was cremated. It is visited by hundreds of thousands of people every month who come to show their respect to one of the greatest leaders that the world has seen. The team lodged at the Grand People Hotel in the very crowded part of the city known as Carol Bagh. A little before midnight on their second night in India, they boarded the Mussoorie Express, which during the night would take them 160 miles to the north, to the foothills of the Himalayan mountains. In the crisp, cool morning air, their train pulled into the Dehradun station. Leaving Dehradun behind, their taxis skillfully maneuvered the hairpin turns which took them the 20 miles up to the city of Mussoorie. Mussoorie is now a tourist destination for people from all over India, especially during the summer months as people escape for a short while the intense heat of the plains of India. Mussoorie is also where Woodstock School is located. The streets of Landauer Bazaar were designed for travel by foot and donkey, but now have the added burden of all kinds of vehicles. Once through the bazaar, the Woodstock campus became visible. Woodstock School was formerly a boarding school for the children of American missionaries. Now it is a Christian international school with students from over 25 countries, including the United States. The school has a junior or senior semester or year abroad program called SAGE, which is very popular. SAGE stands for Students Abroad for Global Education. The team finally arrived at the Hanafel Center, a new addition to the campus as a center for studying the environment and outdoor education. The Hanafel Center, equipped with a very popular computer lab, became the place for sleeping, eating, and morning and evening devotions. Some of the Mussoorie volunteers served in the Woodstock School libraries.
During the week, they went through the shelves, making sure that every book was in its correct place. They also worked at getting new books into circulation. The rest of the volunteers worked at the new organic research garden. The team dug terraces and watered plants. Gravity flow water came from a nearby spring. Two major projects included putting a concrete floor in a recently erected implement shed and adding a chicken coop to the organic garden enterprise. A whole lot of gravel had to be carried down the mountain, and a whole lot of water had to be carried up the mountain to make concrete for the floor of the implement shed. Working alongside friends from India, the Mussoorie team learned a new and improved way of moving dirt. A rope was attached to the shovel, and while one person guided the shovel, another person pulled it along, making the work of shoveling a team effort and a whole lot easier. Sawing was not quite that easy, as others turned a piece of 4x8 plywood into a chicken brooder. Holes for the chicken coop walls had to be dug. More earth had to be cleared. The coop's pre-welded walls were set in place and connected with bolts. The roof was added. With the help of a visiting group of students from the Allahabad Agricultural Institute who had traveled to Woodstock to study the organic garden, bricks were moved up the mountainside. And finally, a small but sturdy brick wall was set in place.
There was a great sense of accomplishment at the garden and in the library as another volunteer and mission project in India was completed. The school was very appreciative of the volunteer labor and financial resources that the Mussoorie team contributed to their new educational garden project. One afternoon, the team visited the Tibetan school, also located in Mussoorie. Mussoorie was the first place that the Dalai Lama lived in exile. upon escaping Tibet after the Chinese occupied the country. In those early days, he made several visits to Woodstock School. Most of the students at the Tibetan school are orphans. Many of them go on to learn trades like sewing. Others learn ways to help preserve the Tibetan culture through an extensive course of several years in Tibetan art. There were several opportunities for team members to visit the bazaar and make purchases, or just window shop and observe the people. One day was set aside for a visit to a mountain village. A few team members chose to hike the 7 miles down to the Agra River. The hike took them past oxen being led to a festival, 600 sheep on the way to market about 30 miles away, and farmers working their fields. This farmer told us he was plowing his field to plant winter wheat. For the last 3 miles, the hikers were joined by a group of school children on their way to school. Their school was located in the town of Tatur, where the Agra River crosses this main trade trail that the team members were hiking. The Agra River brings water from far-off snow-covered mountains to irrigate fields all along the way. At the town of Tatur, the hikers joined those who had come from Woodstock by jeep. The jeeps took them higher and higher, leaving the river far below. Everyone was impressed by the amazing terrace farming beside the river and up on the higher mountain slopes. They finally wound their way up on a ridge where a school had recently been built in the village of Gati, in order to cut the walking distance for some of the children from 7 and 8 miles down to 3 and 4 miles. To the delight of the Mussoorie visitors, the school children performed some village dances. Before leaving India, the VIM team took up an offering to send to the mountain village school that was offering so much with such little resources. Next, it was on up the mountain to the small agricultural mountain village of Kaskadon. Team members headed down the mountain trail to the village, passing a woman washing her clothes at a spring. The recent corn harvest adorned all of the homes, while the beautiful red chilies drying in the sun added additional color. A man spread out his grain to dry it in the sun. A woman sifted through some grain in preparation for cooking the evening meal. The team was served tea in the home of the headman of the village. The women of the village were delighted with the interest Mary showed in their clothing and jewelry. They would have gladly completely outfitted her, but they were satisfied with her keeping the brass earrings they had placed in her ears. Soon it was time to head on. While eating a roadside packed lunch, the team watched a woman cut fodder for her animals and carry it on her head up the mountain back to her home. One afternoon, the entire team hiked to Flag Hill, which is located about a mile from the Hannafel Center. Flag Hill is where the Tibetan people have tied up their prayer flags for years. Their belief is that the prayers thus offered will bring a blessing upon the people and places where the gentle breezes will blow them. On Sunday, the team worshipped at St. Paul's Church, located up the mountain from the school. It was a very special Sunday as the church had been recently renovated, and the service was designed to dedicate the renovation project. The Hindustani church youth presented special music, as did the Woodstock School choir. With the work of their mission completed, and after a few more opportunities to visit the bazaar and to view the mountains, the team headed back to Delhi, once again sleeping on the night train. A trip to India would not be complete without visiting Agra, the city of the Taj Mahal. Boarding the Taj Express at 6 a.m., the team was off on the 2-hour trip to Agra. They first visited the nearby amazing Fatehpur Sikri, built by King Shah Jahan as his capital city. It goes on and on with elaborate buildings built to house the king and his very large family with over 300 wives, and as a place to host foreign dignitaries and conduct state business. Back in Agra, they visited the Agra Fort, another huge complex of buildings made of marble and red sandstone. The capital was moved to Agra when the water source for Fatehpur Sikri dried up. From the Agra Fort, the Taj Mahal is visible across the river in the distance. Last, but certainly not least, they viewed one of the 7 wonders of the world, the Taj Mahal, built by Shah Jahan as a tomb for his wife, Mumtaz. It is hard to describe this amazing work of art and architectural beauty. Few, if any, are disappointed with what they see and experience while walking around the grounds and visiting the Taj Mahal. Before leaving for the airport for the 14-hour nonstop flight back to Chicago, the team made one last trip on the brand-new metro system downtown to purchase handicraft items at the Cottage Industry Emporium. Leaving India behind, the images of that amazing country and an amazing experience still fill their senses and memories. This and other missions like it are routinely made available through the Volunteers in Missions program of the Missouri Conference's Office of Creative Ministries. For more information about this and other missions, visit the Office of Creative Ministries website at www.umocm.com.